The Broncos are at least in the mix to be competitive. Now, if they play like they did last night, they're not going to beat the great teams in the AFC, but they haven't had to play any. All they have to play is what their schedule is, and they've won 7 in a row. Here's Sean Payton from last night on the ugly victory over the Raiders that moved the Broncos to 8-2.
Sean, again, as you've said, your record says who you are.
Exactly right.
But,
no, but. Are you going to say but?
What,
no. What's your question?
Are you comfortable with the script of just kind of how these games continue to be won?
We're never comfortable as coaches, but there's no buts. So you're asking, am I comfortable as a coach? We're never satisfied. If my answer were to you, I'm comfortable, that'd be silly, right? So obviously we gotta clean up the penalties. We gotta clean up some of the execution, and that is an ongoing thing that probably never ends. There's, you search for that Shangri-La. Right now, we're a team sitting at 8 wins. I think we're the only team sitting there. So, and yet we're constantly looking internally and starting, but it was a tough night offensively, obviously.
They are the only team in the NFL with 8 wins. And, of course, he's not comfortable. But that's the thing. If they had won 55-10 last night, there would be something that bothers him. And he would have been far more inclined after a game like that to find a reason to chew on someone so they don't get soft. This is the best of both worlds for him. He gets the win, and it's sufficiently ugly that he can take privately, practice field, meeting room, red-hot poker, because what's coming next? The Kansas City Chiefs, who are off this week, so they've got extra time to get ready for the Denver Broncos. They've got a rendezvous, as Rocky Balboa would say, coming up here in Week 11 in Denver. Hey, Denver fans, when you show up for that one, maybe your expectations shouldn't be quite so high. Have a lower bar or a higher bar, wherever the bar will go to stop the booing, because it's not going to be easy against the Chiefs. And if it is, be happy about it. But you know what? Beyond that, I mean, there's still some... they got the Raiders again. Yeah, they got the Commanders. Yeah. Okay. There's some tough games, though, down the stretch. Packers, Jaguars, Chiefs, Chargers. That won't be easy. They got a strong kick at the end.
They do. And I think all will be forgiven. And I know... we'll talk about it next week because it's a huge game, but I'll just say just briefly about Chiefs-Broncos. All will be forgiven if they can figure out a way to beat the Chiefs. Last year, Kansas City had all those close wins. One of them was a win over the Broncos where it looked like the Broncos were just about to win this game. Hey, kick a field goal. The Chiefs block the kick, and they get another victory there. So Sean Payton has them in a position where they've seen it. We can take on Kansas City. We can compete with them. It's a huge game next week because if they're able to win it, I think we finally have to acknowledge it's not the same old Chiefs who are going to figure it out in the end. I mean, that would be if they were to lose. That's 5 losses, and that would be 8 straight wins for the Broncos, including a win over the Chiefs. That'd be tough to overcome. So I'm really looking forward to that one next week.
There was a fascinating wrinkle from that game last year between the Broncos and the Chiefs at Kansas City that it felt like the Broncos had won. There was some sort of scouting angle where, based on how the guy who was supposed to be blocking the defenders was lined up, they knew they could blow through him. There was a weakness there, and they exploited it, and they blasted through and blocked the kick and saved the win. And those are the games. That was the way the Chiefs would win last year, and that magic seems to be gone. They're going to need something. That's a hell of a game. I don't know, without checking the other games next week, I know that we've got a great Sunday night game between the Lions and the Eagles in Philadelphia, and we'll be there for it. But Chiefs-Broncos, very compelling because the Broncos are trying. I saw, I think it was Bleacher Report that asked the question last night on social media, are the Broncos about to nail down the AFC West? No. There's 7 games left for them, and they have to deal with the Chargers and the Chiefs. They're not ready. They're not ready to clinch. They have a long way to go before they're going to clinch, but they are in position where they could get some separation, and they could maybe begin the process of distancing themselves from the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the most important game of the year for the Chiefs so far next week. That's critical. Critical game for the Kansas City Chiefs coming up in Week 11. Must win for the Kansas City Chiefs. If the Kansas City Chiefs lose that game, and correct me if I'm wrong because my brain does not want to process it. In fact, I'm going to multitask here and check. The Kansas City Chiefs are 5-4. It's impossible to accept that they're 5-4. And if they lose to the Broncos next week, they will be 5-5 with 7 games to go. The mighty Chiefs, who have been to 3 straight Super Bowls, who have never had an outcome to the season with Patrick Mahomes as the starting quarterback worse than losing in overtime of the AFC Championship. That's the floor for the Mahomes-led Chiefs. They could be 5-5. Those are the stakes of next Sunday's game in Denver. And Michael, we may have to get our brains acquainted with the possibility, and I don't even know that the words will formulate via my vocal cords. My brain may not allow the messages to get to my tongue, my teeth, my vocal cords, and my lips. But, Michael, the Chiefs could miss the playoffs.
No. No. Because if they get in, I'll just say, even if they, it's hard to, you talk about processing, it's hard to imagine a Patrick Mahomes team not winning the division. So they won the division every season of his career. So, yes, you got to think about them as division champions. So take that away, and let's say they don't win the division and they get into the playoffs. Even if they get in as the 7 seed, the 7 seed on the road playing the 2 seed, whoever it is, I still have a hard time saying Kansas City. Right. You got to go Kansas City. You have to go with Kansas City still. If they get into to kill this beast, you got to keep this beast out of the postseason altogether. Can't allow them in as a 7 seed or, oh, yeah, they're going to be in a tough situation. This is not a good opponent for them. No. If they get in, they're a problem. I just can't imagine them not getting in. But maybe I'll change my mind in 2 weeks. I just can't see it.
Michael, look, there are so many different permutations and possibilities, but there is a way that the dominoes fall. That the Chiefs lose a tiebreaker for the 7th seed to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And why would they lose the tiebreaker? Because of the play that is known by various names. The Duval fall, the Trip 6, the I've fallen and I can't get up. That weird moment that we thought was turning the page permanently for the Jaguars, and they lost 2 in a row before they finally got lucky and beat the Raiders last week. But that play could be the thing that keeps the Chiefs out. Now, the Jaguars are going to have to keep winning, but who knows how many they have to win. They're 5-3 right now, and the Chiefs are 5-4. It's not even a tiebreaker yet. So that may be because, look, Patriots, Bills, they're both getting in. The Broncos, Chargers, if things continue the way they've gone, they're both getting in. There's only going to be one wild card spot left. And you got to worry about the Steelers or the Ravens if they're both improving. And then you've got to also worry about the Jaguars if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. So, yeah, they may not get in. And that makes next week's game critical for both teams, and the Broncos had better get it together. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.